Hey everyone, welcome to episode 6 of the Super Bros podcast. Episode 6, we've made it this far. So once a week, that's what? A month and a half of the three of us, of Jose and Candido and Miguel. This is our pre-4th of July show with you live, although no one will be watching it live. All of you will be
I just thought of something.
Yes.
I just thought of something. You said pre-4th of July, right? So,
Right.
doesn't the fraternity have a fantastic party
ball
happening
party
around this
in
time, yeah?
DC? They do. They have the LULDC hashtag something in DC. They have a.
Have you ever been there?
series. I have. You mean to the LUL thing?
Yes, for the weekend. Did you see weekend?
Yeah, they did. Earlier on in my fraternal career, I traveled down to DC, and now I kind of live in the area, so there's no excuse to go. I might go on Sunday because they're going to watch fireworks on the National Mall, so I might see that. But there's a barbecue, and I think they keep stepping it up every year, and they have a boat. I think there's a boat involved, maybe, and then a series of parties.
Has it always been aligned with the national convention? Because this weekend is both, right?
Weekend. I think it happened already.
Weekend. Oh, okay.
We are disconnected alumni who are unaware of when these things happen.
Miguel, have you ever been to the DC weekend?
I don't think so. I think I've been there. I've been to DC as part of the. It must have been a conclave, or it must have been some huge event. I don't.
Yeah, it was. I think we went at the same time for the Caballero Conclave.
Okay, so that's what it was. Yeah, I never went during the 4th of July.
Right. So to the brothers who are enjoying this weekend.
Yes,
please do it up. Para siempre.
Para siempre, forever and ever.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you. It was just
it's the weekend. Yes, we own 4th of July weekend. Did you interrupt? Maybe. So 4th of July. It's
I stopped you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's barbecues, right? That's the first thing. Why is that the first thing that everyone goes to with 4th of July? Is 4th of July barbecue?
Barbecue. Okay. Well, because you already have the pools open from Memorial Day weekend, right?
Okay.
And beaches are open. So you celebrate independence with a cheeseburger, right?
Are you guys going to barbecues at all?
I don't
know.
No. No.
I will be celebrating, I think, my mother's birthday tomorrow.
Oh.
So not exactly. And then also a friend of ours, Ricardo, is his birthday on Saturday. So I think he's doing something tomorrow too. So that's what.
But an evening function?
So other than that, though, I think I'll just be working.
Are any of you catching the Independence Day sequel that's coming on?
I wasn't planning. You know what? I was really excited when I saw the trailer, and then
the trailer was enough. I think if they made the trailer about 20 minutes longer, then it would have been fine. We would have seen everything. I think we saw everything. I just don't know how it ends.
I will watch it, but I won't pay to go see it in theaters.
You will steal it. You will illegally torrent it. No. You will wait.
I'll catch it on streaming.
On Redbox. I see.
Candido was frozen, but I think he's back with us. He's back.
I'm hoping I'm back. I didn't want to refresh just yet.
Viewer of the day. What's going on, bro? It's good to see you. It's good for us to
Pablo. You know what I did like about the trailer for Resurgence was that they brought back a lot of characters, and it seems like even I didn't have Will Smith, but
it had the essence
of
the
one black guy that they showed in the trailer is supposed to be his son.
Who plays that? Who plays his son?
Yeah,
the actor.
I don't know that.
I will go see it for Jeff
actor's
Goldblum.
name. No.
No, he's not. But he's
just exciting. Come on,
is that like one of your favorite actors?
I want to see how he saves the world this time. Wasn't one scene like on the moon? Like, how did he get on the moon?
Yeah.
Like, no one's been on the moon since we were last on the moon, since the Apollo missions, and he's all. Well, I guess, but of course, I mean, you saw the cool things that they have.
But he can do it.
Jeff Goldblum. So I think they dropped the ball on this because this should be a lot more exciting than it should be, right? Everyone should be going to see this movie. But I think, yeah, I don't think so. But now it's Finding
I think
Dory.
it was supposed to be the summer blockbuster.
That will be the summer blockbuster. It looks exciting.
Yeah, Finding Dory.
Ellen?
Ellen is good, man.
She's very talented.
And,
have you
Disney
seen the
Pixar
trailer for
doesn't
Mona?
fall short.
They have a Polynesian, I think.
No,
the Polynesian princess.
Yes, with the rocket.
Yes,
princess.
It's
and
great because
the rocket's playing the god, right?
The eyebrow. He's all tatted up and stuff.
That's
it's good.
Awesome.
So I'm happy.
I think the other big showing.
That one looks like it's going to be
summer fun. Is the Suicide Squad, right? Is
that this summer?
What do you think about that?
Yeah, wow. So we'll go crazy for that. I think it's August 5th. Yeah, I'll be super fanboy come like
I might even go Joker I'm gonna for Halloween.
Ready
He's
for
an
that
easy
film.
Joker for me. You know, I got short hair. I just got to pale up the face. I just got to look. I have a Sharpie in my hand. I just got to put on
a Jared Leto Joker.
Jeans. The teeth will be. I got aluminum foil. We can kind of like
any fronts.
They said they base his character or at least the aesthetic off of like drug cartel drug lords. Right. Which is really interesting.
He definitely looks much more organized crime.
Especially following up
modern day organized crime.
It's hard. You got to be original. And I think he did a good job at being original. At first, everyone was hating because it was different, right? It was like, oh my God, that can't be the Joker. But
I'm super excited. Jared Leto is tremendous talent, and I think he's going to nail this.
Will Smith.
I think it's going to be another memorable.
Not in that, but in this movie.
No, rendition.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's why he had a different summer blockbuster to worry about.
He has a history of not taking the right movies, though.
Does he?
He was supposed to star as the lead for The Matrix, if I remember correctly.
Supposed to be Morpheus?
No, he's supposed to be Neo.
Yeah. The only thing I need him to do is Bad Boys 3.
or Close-Minded.
Yes. Thank you for acknowledging.
Sorry.
Fancy dog.
I don't think I'm the only one.
You're like, no.
Yeah, come on.
He was actually supposed to be Trinity. Guys, sorry.
We're doing so much. Quick shout out to the United States Armed Forces for allowing transgendered. They opened it up to transgendered effective immediately.
Big announcement.
So that's a big move. Again, very controversial, as everything is in this country. But yeah, good stuff.
Okay.
I did see Dallas Buyers Club, by the way. We go. Sorry about that. Yeah, I did see it.
So big. We're moving in. We're moving on to some heavy stuff, or no?
What? Wait. Yeah. We should just go for it because this is
couple weeks,
past couple days
building,
has just
and
been
we
heavy.
Think that we're going to get some release,
and
we don't, and things keep coming. Is this a gay room?
Fancy Dog wants to know: is this a gay room?
Did
we give off an impression that it was or wasn't?
But
so I guess not. We'll bring up gay. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
All right, maybe just because we mentioned a transgender.
The same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, just a topic. It was just a topic. All right. So yeah.
All right.
Could we talk about Promesa?
What is Promesa?
On this weekend of Independence Day, what we are seeing.
Oh, great! He was about to like go into this big long detailed thing.
I know he's gonna drop this bomb. All right, so we have mentioned, I think, in an earlier episode, talking about the financial crisis that was going on in Puerto Rico, but we didn't go into complete details because we still needed to do some research on our own end. But recently, it just can't. It's been in the limelight, right? Media has been covering it significant because the Senate, the House and the Senate have approved a bill.
They called it Promesa?
I am attempting I'm
Promesa.
I don't know who named it that, but yeah, that's what they're referring to it as. They're referring to it as. But like, and then that gives the people who are against it an opportunity to say the only thing they promise is, etc. Like, whatever things they don't think. So it okay. So it came through the House, got approved by the Senate last night. The vote was like 68-30. So no question that it was passed, and now it's in the hands of the president. And as soon as Miguel comes on, we'll have some more details as to what Promesa plans. But not everyone is on board, so maybe it's passing through. It's passing through because it's kind of a rush vote. So the deadline for Puerto Rico to start paying back the deficit is July 1st. So I'm going to say the Republicans were in a position where they can push the vote along, because they are like, if we don't do something now for Puerto Rico, then they're going to be faced with this deficit, even though the now resolution isn't the best resolution either.
Right. Sorry.
Is he back right on time to pick up where I left off?
So Puerto Rico in a huge debt crisis right now, right? Particularly interesting to us because we're Latino and we're either Puerto Rican ourselves, or we have family or friends who are. So we know people who are personally affected by this. And also Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, a voting part of the United States. So it's something that we shouldn't, neglect or take too lightly. Imagine if, and this happens sometimes, when a state goes broke, right? And we throw all of our resources and attention there, but things are a little different this time. So Miguel,
did you guys get a chance to talk about exactly what this looks like? Okay.
No.
So I pulled something up, and it looks like the board is basically the main responsibility is to restructure the workforce of the Commonwealth government and to ensure the payment of debt obligations. Also has the power to reduce or freeze public pensions. It will also supervise the budget and finances of the entire Commonwealth government, its pension systems, courts, legislature, public authorities, and all leases, union contracts, and collective bargaining agreements. Anyone who defies or obstructs the board will be found guilty of criminal misdemeanor and subject to suspension without pay or removal from office. Some other things it will do is taking away minimum wage. So minimum wage will go down from, I believe what it is now, $7 an hour to $4.25.
Wow.
Yeah, that's enough to talk about right there. But I just before I stop, I just want to read one last quote from Juan Gonzalez of Democracy Now, just to kind of sum it all up.
Yes, please.
So I'm sorry. So this is actually a quote from Senator Bob Menendez while he was giving. Right in the middle of his filibuster. So he said,
in the middle of his filibuster,
this is a vote to authorize an unelected, unchecked, and all-powerful control board to determine Puerto Rico's destiny for a generation or more. It is a bill to force Puerto Rico, without their say, to go $370 million further in debt to pay for this omnipotent control board, which they don't even want. It is a vote to cut the minimum wage down to $4.25 an hour for young workers in Puerto Rico. It is a vote to make Puerto Ricans work long overtime hours without fair compensation. Is a vote to jeopardize collective bargaining agreements. It's a vote to cut worker benefits and privatize inherently government functions. It's a vote to close schools, shutter hospitals, which we've already seen a lot of already in Puerto Rico, and cut senior citizens' pensions to the bone. It's a vote to put hedge funds ahead of the people, and it's a vote to sell off and commercialize natural resources that belong to the people of Puerto Rico. So, yeah. Absolutely.
So that's definitely cringeworthy. I mean, he's one of the few that are outspoken about this matter. There are a ton of liberal progressive Democrats that are voting in favor of this.
Liberal progressive,
which is kind of confusing. Yeah,
right.
It's like
absolutely
it's a strange thing,
if you
right?
Look at the vote, right? 68. This is for the Senate was 68. Yes, and only 30 no. I
68,
haven't
30.
looked at a breakdown of what that actually looks like, but there are some some progressive senators like candidate Bernie Sanders, who he went as far to say that this is. Or he said, Mr. President, the United States of America should not treat Puerto Rico as a colony. So yeah.
There's a few things. I'm not sure if they were part of your exact quote, but this will be paraphrasing from Bob Menendez as well, from Senator Bob Menendez. But so he wanted to bring to all the voters and citizens attending that like this bill is not providing any funding, so the deficit remains. There's nothing changing with that. This is not a bailout option. This is just to create that financial control board and to do some restructuring. But he also said like this is being promoted as a pro-growth strategy,
right?
But instead, it's going to be considered a pro-migration strategy, and it's very likely that if we think it's a problem now, how many Puerto Ricans have been leaving the country, and coming over to like Florida and New York, it's so much easier for them to find a job, to get the health insurance that they need. And then, it just doesn't. What happens, there's no reason to stay.
But what happens? Like,
it's just not what makes sense.
People that are migrating or leaving mainland Puerto Rico for the U.S. For other states, right? And what happens is all of their wealth, right? Any sort of wealth that they amass in Puerto Rico, any sort of holdings there, that is basically not worth anything now, And so what happens at the end of all this?
Now, when you say their wealth isn't worth anything, it's because of what?
Well, look at the economy.
Their economy,
which is tied to the U.S. That's
whose wealth? Let's say you're a rich guy in Puerto Rico, and you're like, I'm abandoning ship, right?
I'm not even concerned about people who are wealthy. I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, you mentioned wealth.
Okay. Absolutely.
And people who own property, so like you have your house,
looking for clarification on what you
have a little piece of property.
Right. So if you're like a landowner and you have this piece of property, it's now,
right. Or even that, think about it, this mass migration, you're starting over.
Right.
And many people in Puerto Rico don't speak English or, so you have sort of almost like a forced migration. And so what's going to happen to these people now? What's going to happen to their assets?
Well, historically, that's how it happened anyways. Once U.S. Colonized PR and they did away with agriculture, there was I don't even know how so many Puerto Ricans stood on the island, because it's not even a self-sustaining island at this point. Like there's so much imported goods because you can't survive off of tobacco and sugarcane. And the resorts aren't owned by Puerto Rican citizens.
That's the main issue. The main issue is how completely westernized the Caribbean in general has become, but also specifically Puerto Rico. And so now you have businesses like fast food industry and things like that are basically the bulk of commercial product, right, in Puerto Rico. And so people can't really have any kind of sustainable living in that sort of environment, especially when you have this massive debt and whatnot also.
Yeah, so I just want to look at some of the comments that Pablo is putting up right now. So to answer the first is like he said that the government makes decisions without consulting the PR, consulting Puerto Rican citizens. Well, Bob Menendez also said that if this, let's say this control board does exist, at what point are they going to open the doors to allow Puerto Rican membership on that control board? Because the control board at this point not even said that they need to be residents of the island.
It's a 7-member control board, I think. And 4 are Republicans, white Republicans from DC. They're not from the island. So it's interesting. What else can be said about this? Okay.
Well, let me just continue with what Pablo said next. When he lived there, he said he experienced that there was a concept of self-sustainability while he lived there, and it was in pockets of communities. All right, so that makes total sense for a community to be able to survive on their own, because you'll have the guy who has the cows, you'll have the guy who's growing crops and etc. That have that whole community there where you're allowed to do that. But the reason I had made that statement that it wasn't a self-sustaining island, and maybe that's a stretch. It's probably a stretch for me to say, but I think it's been robbed of so much of its riches that it just doesn't seem as though the entire island can function on its own. So yes, while there's the opportunity for those close-knit members of a community, or for those people who continue to have that idea of community and don't feel like they've been robbed of everything, then there it's a beautiful thing. And that's something that I would love for the island to continue. I mean, that's one of them. Well, I think it's a beautiful island. I mean, that's totally biased, I'm sure. So this is heartbreaking.
Absolutely.
Like, this conversation is completely heartbreaking.
That's not subjective at all, though. That's just an objective fact. Puerto Rico is beautiful. But yeah, so what's interesting though is how Puerto Rico was westernized by the U.S., right? And so our entire economic model, one that is very extractionist, right, was carried out on Puerto Rico. And I can't find the exact. There was a statement I want to read earlier from actually Juan Gonzalez, and he was speaking about exactly how. Give me 1 second.
Is that your car?
It's not my car, but I was gonna mute until it was over because it was just getting annoying.
You made it seem like 1 second. My car's being robbed. Okay, sorry.
That would have been pretty funny. I thought he was gonna get up and go find his keys.
Right.
Hey, Miguel, since you don't have that link necessarily on you at the moment, I think this is going to be an ongoing topic. I think this is something that we're probably addressing again shortly.
I have a question.
Since right now we're waiting to see what Obama does with it.
How do we? Can you hear me? Okay. How? Because I don't know too much about this. Usually, I read what is other people share, or I see what comes across the news line on Twitter. I haven't seen anything about this. Like blips. I've seen blips of information coming across, and thankfully I have a lot of Latino friends, so that's where bits and pieces. But in general, I'm not getting the full amount of information that I would like. So, A, is this being blocked by the media? And B, how do we get this information, or how do we share this information better? Right.
I'll just tell you quickly the three sources I use, and then I'm sure Miguel has some other additional information. So Democracy Now! Seems to be covering it.
Okay.
I caught a pretty good article on CNN Money, and then lastly I went directly to Senator Bob Menendez's YouTube.
Okay.
And
then a follow-up
YouTube
is,
page,
well,
and
what
there was a
can we
couple
do?
clips there of him speaking against it.
Like the activists out there. It's like, what direct measures can we take? Who do we call congressmen? Do we just spread awareness? How do we try and help our bro Manuel? Is he a resource? So again, we feel kind of like helpless in a way, right? We see this happening to the island, but we don't see a way that we can kind of get involved or get engaged.
Yeah, no, I think it's exactly what you said. Build awareness of the issue, contact who we can organize, right, and form coalitions, and really, I think the most powerful thing is to get it out there, to pass on this information. Because, like you said, you're Latino, you're well educated, but you didn't know that, you didn't really have an idea that this was going on, and I think most people don't, because what you see is colonialism in the modern day. So as far as the research, go
ahead. You know what? I'm sorry, just real quick. A funny thing about not knowing as a Latino male is also not knowing as an American citizen about something that's happened in United States, right? Because that's also like a piece that we can't ignore. Like it's a United States problem just as much as it's a
even
Latino
less.
problem. So that
They
means
know
that
even less.
Latinos don't know,
Right?
means Americans, United States Americans don't know, right?
So this is flying under the radar, and I think that's what a
Miguel,
lot of people are hoping for, and it's happening. So I think it's up to everyone to sort of shine a light on this in whichever way they can.
Right. So just as far as some specific places to look for to learn a little bit more about this, Juan Gonzalez wrote a piece talking about if you look up Puerto Rico's economic death spiral and how it's tied to legacy of colonialism, you'll find his article on that. He's done some extensive writing on the topic. He's dedicated, I think, most of his career to it. And then another great resource for how Latin America in general has been exploited by Western civilization. I would say definitely read Eduardo Galeano's Open Veins of Latin America. And that gives you some pretty solid and specific ideas of how globalization, amongst other things, have robbed Latin American people of any sort of opportunity or wealth. Okay.
Pablo also posted.
So is that bro doing work?
A link there in the chat. Something that we might want to check out.
I did not know.
Puerto Rico.
Says he's a congressman.
I will like his page.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Cool.
Yeah, because it's going to be ongoing.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna hit this topic again. So I think at this point we'll move forward. Because we'll need to see how what's gonna happen moving forward. Are they gonna talk about this more in media? Is there gonna be more media coverage? And what is the decision that's gonna follow? Now that it's moved past the House and the Senate. So in other news, I saw all over social media, why do we pray for Paris but not for Istanbul?
Yes.
So another atrocity occurred at an airport, but the direction I wanted to take this conversation is,
and that's only another example because
why don't we?
I forget why I think it was another. It might have even been Paris, and then at the same time there was an atrocity somewhere else in the world, and I think it might have been in Africa. Someone at the same time of similar scale.
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't we pray for this? And it typically has to deal with a white Anglo country versus a black or Muslim country, and that's just black and white how it's turned out. So why do we focus as a nation more attention to one group than another? And it seems kind of simple, you know. It's like where's our focus and our attention? Before I brought up the fact that maybe it's an expectation of Turkey because this has been happening more and more in Turkey. You know, they're a little bit, whether we like it or not.
So
it's bordering Syria.
It's happening
like
in
right there in the heat of it. You know, they're a Muslim country. So in a way, we're like, think of it. Think of how many times you hear about bombings in the Middle East in general, right? It's like a day in the park. Sadly, we've sort of become desensitized to this idea that atrocities are happening over there, even though days before, a week before, similar things happen somewhere else, and then we're all of a sudden praying for it. It's hard because I'm sure someone like your average American isn't saying that the thing that happened in Turkey was any less tragic, right? I'm sure they would agree with you. But
hey, sorry to cut you off. Pablo's commenting. He's saying he was there 3 months ago at the airport that it actually took place. Do you want to bring him on? I don't know if he'd be interested in jumping on.
Well, yeah, Pablo's invited if he wants to jump on camera. Absolutely.
Yeah,
this is the first time they are blaming ISIS. He says,
absolutely.
Kurds have attacked right at the door. So again, to my point,
he's calling
this thing happened, but that doesn't make it any less worth praying for, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Because I didn't see anybody send me an invitation to change the colors of my default picture on social media to match the colors of.
Sorry, I don't really use this
of any other tech outside.
I just got home.
This is definitely turning into the muscle show
from the gym.
Holy!
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yeah. I get home late, so like we usually get home like around 7 o'clock.
What's
so I'm
up,
like,
brother?
I gotta jump on to get these guys.
This guy's so good. Thank you, man. We really appreciate that. We really appreciate that.
No problem. Me and Maria were actually at
appreciate you, man. Love
you. We just hate the news coming out of there because the country and the people were so beautiful and nice to us and very welcoming. And I mean, like, people went out of their way to pick us up early at the airport, take us around. They're like, hey, this place is nice. The architecture is beautiful. The mosques were gorgeous. The food was amazing. Like, and it's terrible, kind of like the way it's been looked at here is just another Middle Eastern country having kind of like a tiff. And I kind of hate it because before I went to Turkey, I thought the same thing. I was like, man, I'm trying to get in the hotel and get out and like not have anything happen. And it's super sad to see because right in that area where they were saying, there really isn't any security at the exit of the international departures. When you go out those doors, it's a huge kind of like almost like, how Grand Central Station has that long causeway with a whole bunch of like shops and stuff, and you go off instead of shops, it's a whole bunch of like different taxi companies, private, rental cars,
pick people up,
let them out, give people information, and it's sad because it's like they have security. It's not like their security is lax. Like they had really good security, and it's just
that's what they were saying.
It's just terrible. Like
these soft targets,
exactly,
the soft targets, which exist everywhere, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get rid of them. That's just saying like losing our way of life. But the matter of the fact is like shit is sad because the one video that I saw, and I give that guy ultimate props, was the plainclothes officer that shot.
Tackled?
No, he shot him. You didn't see it? The guy was running, and he shot him. He fell. The attacker fell down, and he went in and shot him in the head. And then as soon as he ran off, the bomb exploded. Yep.
That was. Have you guys seen the footage? It was kind of.
Is that the same video where it's a dude on the floor and you can't really see what he's doing, but then it's maybe like 10 seconds later the bomb goes off?
It goes off. It goes off, and it's spooky because it goes off red and stuff. It's
because you see a figure kind of like looking over the guy on the floor. Yeah,
that's the cop that shot him in the head and ran, and then the dude exploded.
Okay.
But I mean, like he was, that's what it takes. Plainclothes officers. It takes compliance. It takes, a whole bunch of different things to actually like, have that level of security that you even feel. Because when we went over there, I didn't even feel uncomfortable. Like my guard was up the whole time, but I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. There was military everywhere. There was police everywhere. And it's just sad because everyone was helpful. And you're like, how can this shit go down? And it almost makes you think like home, we have military and people everywhere. And then you're like, it can happen here easy. Easy.
Absolutely. I was going to say when you were talking about before about how open it was, I was going to say that's not really different from the way our airports are structured either. So
no.
It's not. I don't think it's really an issue about security. I don't think we need more security. I think that's ridiculous, right? I think we need to address the root cause of what is causing this radical jihadi, terrorism. And I think it has a lot more to do with our extractionist mentality and exploiting basically people all over the world as an economic model of the U.S. So you guys have any thoughts on that?
He does. The puppy.
Your dog?
It's tough, man. This subject is tough. Outside. Like, how do you solve the problem? And I'm stuck. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are stuck. They don't know how to get at that root cause. Is sending more troops somewhere the answer? Probably not.
Definitely not.
So I'm no authority. I'm no authority on this, but I almost feel like we should refocus on what we were talking about earlier, of why value is given to one place as opposed to the other in terms of. It's a black and white thing, right?
I mean,
and so
I think it goes a lot deeper
you said it pretty clearly.
Because
it's just a black and white thing,
and all these different issues that we're having about police and a lot of this stuff that I've seen, I think a lot of it stems from money, and I feel money is like the ultimate factor in most of every issue that we have especially in this country, because like even in let's just say Puerto Rico, for example. If there was money there for the U.S. to gain from, you don't think they would be bailing them out or trying to help them in some way? Or the same thing, like the policing in these different areas or different issues, it's all about money, the oil. Or they talking about, we invaded the Middle East, oil, this and that, and it's just about money. If we found more oil here that we can extract from, they're starting to do it. They're starting to, hassle OPEC. OPEC's talking about they're not going to slow down their production because the U.S. wants to start producing. And then we have the big oil dips, and now oil's all over the place on the market. I think money is the ultimate factor for most of every issue that we have. It not even only in the U.S., but I mean just globally.
Money talks, money moves.
So then that's still while I don't disagree, I will also say that classism, racism they're fairly interchangeable depending on who's leading the conversation, because who represents what category or which people represent those who are in the lower income group, that's questionable, right? Because then you could say, well, of course, it depends on what country we're talking about, but it ends up being then a black and white issue as well. Like then classism also becomes a black and white issue. So I think those two are interchangeable. But the points that you brought up in your examples they seem to be very clearly a classism issue, not so much racism. But I think in this case, in this one, in this attack, I think it's a race issue. I mean. What was the money that was?
When we say race issue, are we talking about the cause, like why they did this, or why?
What was it? Tourism? What about Paris?
I see.
I think people.
Why the cry? The outcry, the support,
right? I think
the support that comes after the default pictures on social media.
In quotes, feel a bigger connection, a greater connection to Europeans, right?
They're just like us.
Do to people, right? Because when you think about a Western society, it is basically the same. We're based off each other and share many of the same principles, right? And actually, Turkey itself is actually a pretty westernized nation.
Very much so.
Yes, very much so. But it does.
But I think that like your ordinary person on social media doesn't think that, and then so there's always going to be the us versus them,
Yeah. I'm worried at how this exacerbates sort of the Muslim issue that we have already here in America, and how that gets politicized or is getting.
I'm very afraid, and I mean Trump has already started running, but he just finished talking about a Muslim ban, and when things like this happen, it just makes me think like it almost gives him more. Sure. I mean, it's not. I don't want to say that it's legitimate because it's not in any way. It's ridiculous, but right.
I mean, he speaks to just undereducated.
How much of the stuff that he says is legitimate?
People that are tired of the same
is that way he doesn't need that
political BS that they don't know about. He speaks to those people that have never left their hometown or left their state. You know what I mean? That's the kind of people he speaks to. They're not looking for facts. They're just looking for somewhere to point fingers and blame. That's all they're looking for.
It's what is it called? Something bias, confirmation bias, or you're more likely to listen to news, or to gravitate towards news that is already in line with how you feel about a particular topic. That's a thing.
I think we gotta wrap it up.
Oh yeah.
I think we gotta wrap up the show. We'll stick around and talk to Pablo some more.
Yeah, Pablo.
But I think we got to wrap this show up. I think it's been good. It's been a good one. Everyone out there, enjoy your weekend. Have a happy, safe
Pablo,
weekend.
don't go anywhere.
Don't blow up your arms. Don't play
Please
around
keep
with
your
fireworks.
heads on the swivel, please.
Yes,
Always,
there's going to be big.
Safe. Yeah. Oh my God! To any of the members of the New York Giants, please.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
We need you for the season.
Don't blow up your arm. That's dangerous, man. Yeah. Have a good one, guys. Yeah, bye.
Please.
And I'll pause.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining.